All right, so this is the day after Super Tuesday, and it was a bloodbath specifically for the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. I generally just call them the modern left. We're going to go ahead and go through some of these candidates that were backed by AOC. I think the overwhelming majority of them lost. I think with the exception of like a small handful in California, but even then, a few of them in California ended up losing pretty badly. So establishment Democrats edge out AOC-backed candidates on Super Tuesday. So this individual right here, this is Jessica Cisneros. She was running for the 28th Congressional District, and she ended up losing to the incumbent, who is another Democrat named Henry Saylor. And, she was within striking distance of this individual. I think it was within 4 percentage points. So that isn't nothing to, nothing to really scoff at. She was close. So she is a newcomer, but she ended up losing, and thank God. This is not someone we want in office. She's an immigration lawyer, and if you can already guess, she's pro-open borders, she's pro-amnesty, she wants to give free housing to illegal aliens, and she wants to decriminalize a lot of the activity that illegal aliens are engaged in. This is not somebody that we want in office, and thank God that she ended up losing. So this article goes on. There was a couple other ones. She endorsed, Ocasio-Cortez endorsed Cristina Ramirez and Georgette Gomez. Ramirez was running for a seat in the Senate in Texas, and Georgette was running in the 53rd House District. Gomez came in second place in the race, going up against Sarah Jacobs. So she's not done yet. There is a runoff because of the way that California's primary is run. Two of the top leading candidates, depending on how close the race is, if it's super close, they do end up going into a runoff election. So that's going to take place in November. So fingers crossed that Sarah Jacobs pulls it out of her ass and ends up winning. And as for Ramirez, well, she just lost. She's done. No more of her. This is pretty interesting here. So Ramirez raised a little under $1 million, and her opponent ended up raising $3.7 million. So these are progressives that ended up losing. They lost big time. So this continues. Okay, so this is just a general primary results. Of course, Joe Biden, really hit it out of the park with 380 delegates that night. So he has 433 total. Beating Bernie Sanders and surpassing his delegate count. Elizabeth Warren with a measly 28 delegates on Super Tuesday. That is pathetic. So if we go down here and we find her state over here in Massachusetts, she ended up getting 3rd place. This is really bad. She got 21.6% of the vote. That is pathetic. This is her home state, and she ended up losing it. She ended up losing it big time. These are embarrassing numbers. If I was her, I would just go home and never come outside again. But, a lot of people are wondering why did she lose her own state by this significant amount? And it's because she's just a terrible human being. She ended up lying about her family, making untrue statements about her father, embarrassing everybody in the process. She talked shit about her colleagues, people who cared about her in the past, who helped prop up her career. She threw them under the bus. So, and then of course her friends like Bernie Sanders, who's been nothing but kind to her, she got what she deserved. She got exactly what she deserved. And then of course Michael Bloomberg, all the money that he spent, he only received 12 total delegates. As I am making this video, he has already dropped out. He's a loser. And then of course Tulsi Gabbard, who's further to the left than Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren combined. Thank God she only has 1 total delegate. She's a fucking loser. I can't stand Tulsi Gabbard. I don't know why Tim Pool kisses her ass, because I think she's fucking terrible. She's literally the worst. So now we're going to be talking about Brianna Wu, another very brave woman. She is not a woman of color, but nonetheless she is brave because of her, ma vagina. So Brianna Wu survived Gamergate. Now she's running for Congress. So this was published in 2018, September 4th. Oh goodness! So this is a while ago. So I guess she ended up running again. So when she spoke up about sexism in the video game industry, Brianna Wu suffered so much harassment that she developed post-traumatic stress disorder. wow, so this is this is Brianna Wu. She got PTSD from mean comments on the internet. No, would you look at that? So she ended up losing the race. So this is somebody in the past who's run very recently, and she ended up losing. Who did she lose to? She lost to an establishment Democrat, I believe, and she lost by a substantial amount. So she went up against Lynch, so with 71% of the vote to Wu's 23%. So I was under the impression that these very brave progressive types were, they're all winners. They have the opinions, and then they hold the positions that Americans care about. Well, according to these stats, according to these results, well, this one was from quite some time ago. This isn't looking good. This isn't supporting or substantiating the claims that progressives are, they got their fingers on the pulse of the American, psyche. But of course, I'm saving the best for last. Brianna Wu, what a fucking loser. Thank God. That's all she wrote. Cenk Uygar, so this is from the Federalist. So they report that the Young Turks founder who got millions from Google loses primary and goes on a rant. And boy, did he. There's a lot of videos of this epic meltdown, but of course the only thing melting is a tuna or a pizza roll down his fucking throat. Cenk Uygar is so repulsive and disgusting. And I don't take solace in somebody else's pain and misery, but I'm going to have to make an exception for Cenk Uygar, who has denied the Armenian Genocide multiple times. He likes to believe that he is this political black belt. He is Jean-Claude Van Damme of politics. However, he ended up losing so badly. He was just crushed by the superior Christine Smith. And I believe there's a racial element to this. I think there is a legitimate racist element to this, because Cenk Uygar hates white Americans. He hates white people. He's very resentful, very bitter, very jealous. You can tell by the way he talks and brags about himself. This is indicative of a very tiny man. He physically small. He's very short. He's very short and wide. And of course, he likes to call white women whores in training, mostly because none of them wanted to sleep with him. So like the typical incel in disguise, he's acting like he's better than them or something. So to lose the election, to lose to somebody like Christy Smith, who is a tall and beautiful white woman, probably stings like a motherfucker for Cenk Uygar. And I couldn't be more than happy with the results. I was up all night laughing hysterically. I'm drinking. I'm on Discord with the MAGA boys, and we had a blast. We had a wonderful time. I almost wanted to go to the event that you can RSVP for. It was advertised on his Twitter, but I just didn't find the time to do such a thing. I had anything better to do than to laugh at Cenk Uygar's disgusting face losing an election that he didn't have any business being in the first place. He didn't live in CA 25, but he felt the need to go ahead and represent people he doesn't know or give a fuck about, but he pretended to. And then his whole shtick was just so cartoony and stupid. He's like, I'm going to fight for you. We're going to fight. We're going to counter-strike. This is modern warfare. And it's just totally cringe. I liked how Devin Tracy pointed that out. He's like, I'm a fighter. I'm gonna fight. This is a big fight. And it's like, dude, like you probably, no, just stop, Cenk. Just stop. You're embarrassing yourself in front of everybody. And then the funny thing is, he thinks he can do what Trump does. He thinks he can be Trump, the brown, more disgusting, less talented version of Trump. And of course, he can't do what Trump did. He was not able to antagonize and kind of stump around on a stage the way that Trump did to Hillary Clinton. He thought he can get away with that shit with Christy Smith, and of course it didn't pan out that way. It didn't pan out that way at all. Christy Smith didn't even acknowledge his existence like the majority of white women that have ever been around him. They just ignored him. They treated him like a suspicious bag on the subway. Everyone sees it, but nobody goes near it. This must have been one of the worst nights for Cenk in his entire life. Honestly, I genuinely believe that. He put his heart and soul into this. He made a lot of really bold predictions, and none of them manifested themselves in the real world in the way that he thought they would. Of course, people like me people like Sean Fitzgerald, and quite a few others, we're pretty confident that Cenk would not go far. This is somebody who has denied the Armenian genocide multiple times, who believes in legalizing bestiality. This is somebody who mistreats his coworkers. This is a disgusting, degenerate loser who hires a bunch of other disgusting, degenerate losers. This is an individual who pretends to be grassroots but receives millions from Google and other Muslim countries and foreign news outlets like Al Jazeera. Which is state sponsored, so I guess it's kind of redundant. But nonetheless, this is somebody who's like, I'm astroturfed, or not. He's like, I'm organic. I have millions of views on multiple platforms. I got, billions of views, and I got millions of subscribers and fans on all these platforms combined. And I'm going house to house, and everyone recognizes me. And they're like, you're that guy from the Young Turks. They're probably saying that because they saw Andrew Cuomo fucking grill him and call him out for denying the Armenian genocide and being a carpetbagger. So they're probably laughing at him, not because, and not with him, because he's like chuckling. He's like, oh, they know who I am. Haha. Yeah, dude, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. When people know you, that's not a positive thing. I promise you. Another really interesting thing about the, what's it called? I guess the entire race was, he was one of the key figures in discovering Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Now, here's another thing. He thinks that he can do what she does because, they're both brown, they're both diverse, they have, that, immigrant background or whatever. But I remember, I specifically recall AOC's, her campaign to win in her district. She was actually kind of charming. She was going and having like these legitimate conversations with the people in her area, and they did end up going out to vote for her. She ran a very clean campaign. Cenk did not do any of those things. He campaigned in a district that he has no fucking business, campaigning in. He doesn't live there. He's never lived there. He has no connections to the people. He's not even a traditional American. He's a fucking, he's an immigrant who has disdain and hatred for Americans, more specifically white Americans, and that district is very competitive. As you can see, Christy Smith is struggling to remain ahead against Garcia. Garcia is a Republican candidate, with a military background. And it's a close race. Now there's going to be a runoff between Christy Smith and Garcia, which is whatever. I don't really care. Me personally, I may align more ideologically with Garcia, but I like Christy Smith a lot. I think she's a total babe, and she gets a glowing endorsement from me. I'm just glad that it wasn't Cenk Uygar. I'm just glad that we got to see the meltdown. I'm anxiously awaiting the Dame Pesos, video. It's going to be hilarious. So, So moving forward, what do we do moving forward? Well, it's quite simple. We want to go ahead and support the president of the United States. We got to go out there. We got to support Trump. We got to get immigration under control. We need sensible immigration laws, because if we do not have sensible immigration laws, people like Cenk Uygar, other resentful losers like Cisneros, like Gomez, like Ramirez, like Ocasio-Cortez, they're going to inherit the earth. They're going to get the keys to Western civilization. We are going to hand off the keys to Western civilization to resentful losers whose families did not build this country. Their families did not die for this country. They didn't bleed for this country. They didn't do anything. And they think they're entitled to it. They think they can do it better. They honestly believe that. And it's just like, Cenk Uygar liked to bring up often that he was, oh, I'm an immigrant and immigration's so great because of me. Well, you actually made the case that immigration has failed us because of people like you coming into the country, creating this multi-million-dollar propaganda network funded by all these shady organizations, all these free speech groups, these pro-globalists. Dude, I think we'd be better off without the Young Turks' existence, and I genuinely do believe that. I mean, the less of these people, the better. Cenk Uygar is an awful human being, and he got what he deserved. Again, I don't like taking solace in someone else's misery, but someone as disgusting as Cenk Uygar, who has denied the Armenian Genocide, who is sexist, who is blatantly fucking racist, and makes up lies about individuals like the Covington Catholic kids, about Donald Trump. And of course, if you watch the Meltdown video, he's crying about fake news. It's funny you cry about fake news when you yourself are literally a part of that fake news apparatus, and you stand idly by as CNN, MSNBC, NPR, BuzzFeed, MTV News, etc., they make up lies about the president, and you say nothing. You, if anything, you indulge the lies, and you kind of, throw wood into that fire, and just make things worse. You got what you deserved. You're a fucking hypocrite. You're disgusting. This is the night could not have gone any better. However, some of these people were within striking distance, and it won't be for that much longer until the progressives do get, comfortable leads in some of these races, in some of these contests. And a lot of that has to do with the open borders policy, with the lack of immigration policy enforcement. We need to enforce our laws. We need to protect our sovereignty. We need to ensure the keys to Western civilization are handed off to these losers, especially Cenk Uygar. And besides, another really amazing reason to vote for Donald Trump is just to see the 2020 meltdown memes. They're going to be out of this world. Our faces are going to be hurting from laughing so much. I honestly can't wait. It's going to be truly magical. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am on minds.com. I am on Bitchute. I am on Gab. I am on LBRY. I'm one of the few, political commentary channels on those platforms. One of the few firearm content creators on those platforms. And so that's all I got. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're well. I hope you're healthy. I hope you go out and vote, and you vote only Republicans. We need to punish the Democrats for their wackiness. And I genuinely mean that. All right. Peace out.